Well, we have our nice new desktop available to us, and we can customize this if we want to. You can change your background if you want to. Just right-click on the desktop like you would in a Windows environment. You can choose a different background. You can customize it any way you'd like. That's perfectly fine. But most of the time, we'll be spending our class time in the terminal. We can open up a terminal a number of different ways. Basically what we're doing is going to the command line. So the easiest way to do it is just right click your desktop and select Open Terminal. You can also go up here to Applications, scroll down to System Tools, and there you can have the terminal there too. You can drag, left click and drag that out to your desktop if you want to. You can put it there. You can also put it up here in that bar. We're not going to use any of those because I find the easiest way to do it is just open the terminal by right-clicking the desktop and select Open Terminal. Okay, you can customize this also. I typically put this out here in a format that's best for recording screen captures. So if you want to, you can change this around, make your font smaller, and the easiest way to do that is to go over to Edit, then select Profile Preferences, open this up. Here you can change your font size if you want to, make it smaller. That's one of the things you may want to do. You can change your cursor. You can make it a block, an I-beam. I prefer the underline or underscore. You can change the terminal information. Here you can change the color. So if you don't like black and you don't like yellow as the text, change it. Select something else, and you can play around with these already pre-selected schemes if you want to. On the background, it's kind of interesting because if you want to, you can make your background transparent. I don't because, once again, black is best for recording. But if I went all the way down here, you can see, voila, my background is nice and transparent now. Very nice. So we'll just leave that nice and black so we can record. Scrolling. Yours, by default, will look like this. That's okay, but I'll show you where the limitation kicks in a little bit. If I do an RPM QA, which is going to just scroll a lot of information, I'll learn about these commands later. Scrolls all the information on my screen, and what happens is I get to a certain point and I stop. I don't see all the information that's scrolled by on the screen. That sometimes can be a little bit of a bother if you're trying to go back further. So what I can do is come over here, go to scrolling, and say let it be unlimited, which will give me a heck of a lot more. And by the way, I just pressed Control L. We'll talk about keyboard shortcuts in a second. RPM QA again, scroll it off. And this time you'll see I can go pretty far back. A lot more information on your screen that we can look at with that feature, so you may want to turn that on. Let's talk about a couple of keyboard shortcuts that are really good. First one is Control L. You see I have a lot of things on my screen. I typically like a clean terminal, so I can press Control L, which will clear my screen. Very nice. If I type something and I realize I want to get rid of that particular line, I can press Control U, and that will get rid of the line, just the line. So it would leave everything else on the screen. So if I do this, and I do this, and I do this, all right, and then I do another line, and I just want to get rid of that particular line, Control U will take care of that line. Control L clears the screen. Shift Control with a T will open up a second terminal for me. So I'll issue in here so you can see that they absolutely are different. All right, we'll talk about issuing in another lecture. So here we have two terminals. So Shift Control T. Shift Control N will open up a brand new terminal. And sometimes I do this, especially when I'm SSHing into different machines, which is basically remoting into a different terminal. I do that so I don't get confused and start making changes in the wrong server, which can happen, which has happened. So I'll press that. Now, if you don't like the size, you want to zoom in, zoom out. Easiest way to do that is press the Shift Control and then the plus or minus key. So actually Shift Control for plus will make it bigger. Just Control minus will make it smaller. Right, so you can Control minus to make it smaller. I'll go back. Shift Control, the plus key makes it larger if you prefer it that way. So that's a basic introduction to the terminal that we'll be using in the class.